And that's where the PDM come in now, learning the predictive maintenance and how to use those tools and technologies. And then I just created a passion for it, because every day I walk in the door, I was trying to make a difference. And I was able to with these technologies. I was able to predict failures before they ever happened.
Welcome to the Trend Detection Podcast, powered by Siemens. And now your host, Liz McGinn.
Hi, everyone. It's Liz McGinn here on Trend Detection Podcast, and I'm joined by Tim Hunt. Tim, do you want to give a little bit of your introduction?
Yeah, sure. Tim Hunt, live in southwestern Kentucky. Been in the maintenance field for over 30 years now. I started out as a welder fabricator, moved into being a millwright, got my certification millwright. Then I moved into the PDM role. And so I've had a full career, and I retired from Logan Aluminum. I worked there for 25 years. And after I retired, I played a whole lot of golf. And I'm like, you know what, I'm ready to get back in the game. So stumbled across Senseye, which was going through the purchase at the time of Siemens buying it. And they was talking predictive maintenance, and we was talking the same thing. And right before I left Logan, I was working with AI, and I actually really enjoyed AI. So I'm like, this is just a good fit. So I've been with Siemens now for Senseye for a little over probably 2.5 years now. But so that's kind of my background.
Awesome. We're all super glad to have you here. So you said you started as a welder. What did that kind of look like day to day?
Day to day, welding, fabricating, building things. Then I would go out on. I would done a lot of traveling back in those days. And I mean, I was fresh out of school. I never left the county. I mean, I'd never seen anything, and so I got to see the world at a young age, and so that was exciting. That's where I was going into factories and started doing the millwright, rebuilding, repairs, stuff like that, and then just evolved from there. I realized real early that I did not want to spend my life being a welder, because most of them old guys was blind, and I'm like, I need to do something different here. So
yeah. So what's millwrighting?
Millwright is most of your millwrights will actually build a mill. You can go in and make repairs. You can change out, rebuild gearboxes, change out motors. I mean, they're the ones that's the typically referred to as mechanical technicians in a factory, in a plant. So okay. You got electricians and you got mechanics. Mm-hmm. Most of your mechanics have a millwright background. You tell them go change a cylinder, they can change a cylinder. You tell them to change out a roll or bearings, they are trained in doing that. So that's what a millwright is.
Okay, so basically fix everything but the electricity.
That's it. Leave that to electricians.
Yeah, I mean, it's not safe to be messing with electricity if you're not
No, it. That's right.
Yeah, I grew up with an electrician, so I have a healthy fear of getting electrocuted.
Very good.
Yeah. So what first brought you into kind of the maintenance? You mentioned, you didn't want to be a welder, but what led you into kind of going into this maintenance?
Maintenance, I mean, it just kind of progressed there from the welding fabricating, just simply because it paid very good. I mean, in our region here in Kentucky, I mean, maintenance personnel, they got the premium salaries at the factories. And so I was able to raise my family. I mean, it fed my family. My wife was able to stay at home, be a stay-at-home mom. So, I mean, it was a great living for me. I enjoyed the work. So that's kind of what got me in it and kept me in it, I guess you could say, up to this point, I guess.
Yeah. What was your favorite parts of working in maintenance?
After I got into the PDM role, that I got burnt out of rebuilding gearboxes and changing this and fixing that. I got burnt out on that. I was ready for something else. And then the PDM role, I was in the finishing department, and it was a rotating position, and I put in for it and got it. And I had really good bosses, and they would send me to training, allow me to get all the training I wanted, and I was able to grow and make a difference. And that's where the PDM come in at, learning the predictive maintenance and how to use those tools and technologies. And then I just created a passion for it, because every day I walk in the door, I was trying to make a difference. And I was able to with these technologies. I was able to predict failures before they ever happened. I'd tell them, hey, on this line, you got 60 days to change out this motor. On this other line, you got 30 days to change it out. You got, it depends on the speeds and all, but I was able to make a difference. So that's what got me in. That's where my passion come from. Got built and just fired off from there.
Yeah. What did PDM look like when you started?
Ooh, boy. It was, you would walk up to the machine and put a screwdriver to your ear, and you would listen to the machine. Oh, I think I hear something in there. Motor alignments, they would use a straight edge or a credit card to line up motors, and the motors would last half of a lifetime compared to what they should. Then we were starting to get technologies in there, some good vibration equipment, some laser alignment equipment. Now we're aligning the motors. Guess what? We're getting 7 years out of a motor now to where we was just getting 3. So that's how it started. Was so primitive 30 some years ago to the advancement of it to where it's at today. We went from reactive maintenance to now we're at prescriptive maintenance. We're able to, the technology, AI technology, especially the Senseye, is able to tell you, hey, go clean your fan blade. It's out of vibration because of this. So, I've seen this thing evolve throughout 30 some years. It's just been very exciting to see.
That's awesome. Do you have some good stories? I'm sure you have a ton of great stories. What's some of the most memorable moments that you've had within your maintenance journey?
Just being able to make the predictions and consistently over and over to be able to tell, because early on when I went into the role, I made a lot of mistakes. As I was learning vibration is probably the hardest one to learn. Once I started learning it and was able to, I would go into the engineer's office, say, hey, you've got a bearing that's fixing to fail. You better change it out. And you got 60 days to do it in. What I would do is when they would pull that bearing, they would give it to me, and I'd take it and split it, clean it up, take it back to their office, and I could show them the spall that was in the outer race. It was exactly what I predicted. And then they would believe me after that. And so just to be able to make those calls over and over and over again. And then at that time, the department started noticing, hey, we're not having to change out rolls every weekend. We're not during the middle of the night. Something's taking place. Something's changing here. Yeah. And so it was a rotating position I was in. It was 3 years. And they said, hey, let's take him to 5 years. Let's let him do this. Let's leave him in there. So from the 3 year to 5 year, I was able to, with the technology, I was able to catch just about everything. It was so cool the way, I was able to grow and allowed to grow. At the end of that 5 years, my boss was able to meet with plant managers and all, and they decided to create a position, and I was one of the fortunate ones to be able to get that position to where I was able to do this with the whole plant. And here I was able to teach. I taught a lot of classes. That's when online vibration systems, I started putting them in all over the plant, and every time you put one in, it would catch something. And they'd say, oh, that's wonderful. Put it in over here and put it in over here. So I spent many years there. I was in that the plant reliability specialist role for the last 10 years I was at Logan, putting in online vibration systems and teaching predictive maintenance classes. And because each department had PDM coordinators, and they were on a rotating position. So I was able to teach them. And at some point, somebody was always rolling in and rolling out. And so that's just kind of it.
That's awesome. So were you using like Excel sheets? Were you just checking numbers and like doing, kind of things? I know that now it's pretty automated, I guess, is how I would describe it. It does still have people, in there. But when you started, was it mostly like writing things down, going to check machines, checking numbers? And is that how you kind of calculated how to predict? Or was there other technologies that you kind of started with?
Well, like when I got into the vibration, it had its own. You would just learn failure modes, what they look like. And every time I would find a bearing failure, I'd print it off. I would write notes on it. And I actually have at the end of the career, when I was teaching more, I was using those sheets to say, this is what an outer race defect looks like. This is what this looks like, and that misalignment and all. So I had good technology, I guess you could say, that was able to help guide me along that way.
That's awesome. I guess speaking of technology, what are I know we talked about it a little bit from kind of the primitive maintenance to what predictive maintenance is today. What are some of the biggest changes that you've noticed?
The biggest changes, probably when like at Logan and the folks I'm working with now. Whenever a company starts implementing predictive maintenance, that whole culture shifts. Now they're thinking different. They're talking different. They're able to schedule the equipment to be changed out. I mean, something's going bad, something's wearing, something's loose. They're able to fix things on a scheduled downtime, where they can get the manpower in there, get the pieces, the parts. The maintenance technicians get their lunches, they get their breaks. Everybody's working in a safer environment. It's just unreal to see when a culture implements predictive maintenance, because it makes so much difference. I mean, it will sell itself. That's the thing about it. It's so good.
Yeah, that's nice that it's not always fighting the fires. You gotta
That's it.
still enjoy what you're doing.
Yep. Because that's what life was 30 some years ago when I got into maintenance. You was fighting fires. You would sit and wait for something to break. When it broke, you would flog it, and it's all hands on deck, and everything's a hammer, everything's a pry bar. I mean, it's just, and they rewarded us. They'd give us pizza for doing so, for fixing it so fast and so unsafe. And I mean, your arms and hands was always cut up because of the way there was nothing safe about the way we worked back then. To where, hey, there's a better way. You don't have to work like this. You can schedule this on an outage, and to where people have enough time to make these repairs in a safe manner. So if a company's really concerned about safety, this is where it's at. This will change your safety numbers.
Yeah, safety is super important. I know injuries, especially in factories, can happen quickly, and it's a lot of times maintenance because they're taking apart and going around the safety things that are kind of set up there
Yeah.
to kind of get in there. So yeah, that's awesome. What has your definition of what good maintenance looks like has changed over your career?
Definitely going from reactive to that prescriptive, like what we was talking about earlier. Now we're data-driven decision making. We're letting data drive us to, and I've seen it. We've got customers that are doing it with. You can monitor differential pressure on filters and know when you need to change out a filter. Instead of doing it on a time basis, you can do it when the data says, okay, now it's time to change out your filter, which could be giving you a lot more life, which could save you money, save you manpower from having to prematurely changing these out. So, I mean, just letting the technology lead you to make these decisions. So that's exciting compared to 30 some years ago when it was all reactive, when everything was time based.
Yeah. I guess implementing new technology is always difficult. And I find I've worked only in marketing, but for a manufacturing firm. And I know that it's kind of hard to implement some new technology. So how did that go for you? Obviously you embraced it, but how did that look like for your colleagues or other people?
The thermal imaging guns, the ultrasound, the vibration, those are easier to get people to embrace than the AI, because AI people tend to, well, that's a black box. I'm scared of it. I don't understand it. To where a thermal gun, you can point it up there and the red part is hot and, oh, okay, I get that. So those were easy to teach, and it was easy to get folks to embrace. The AI has been more of a struggle. The old school folks have a harder time with it because I just don't understand it. I don't know But the younger folks, they tend to grab onto it a little bit quicker because they're used to working with computers more, and they're more that type of individual. So, that's still, I still run into those challenges working with customers.
Yeah, I can completely understand that. I can't. My mom embraced AI. She works in marketing though, and my dad's an electrician. He's like, I don't know what it does.
Exactly. Right.
Yep. Completely understandable. I guess, how are you? I mean, you've obviously trained different generations of maintenance people. What kind of advice are you giving them, and what do they need most when entering kind of the workforce?
They need to know the why behind what they're doing. If they can understand why they're changing out a bearing and the importance of changing it out right, then they're more likely to do it the correct way. Early in my career, we was taught to grab a hammer and you just beat the bearing on and get it going as fast as you could. We destroyed more bearings in the early days, and it was unreal. We killed our own bearings before they ever got started good. By beating on them, you create a false vernelling in them. It's where you starting to get a spall in that outer race, to where the new generation, if they know the why, okay, now they'll take time to go and put that bearing on a bearing heater, heat it up, slide it on, let it cool down properly. Guess what? You're going to get full life out of that bearing, if it's greased and oiled properly. But it's just, if they can get right, if you can just teach them that part of it, then they'll embrace it, because now they'll know why they have to take these extra steps.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of my big things, is the why behind things.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I guess I didn't really realize how to put. I'd never know. I don't put bearings on, obviously. So it's interesting to know that there's obviously a correct way, but a lot of people don't necessarily do it the correct way because it's not the easiest way. So it's nice to teach
Right.
the background of it.
Yeah, that's right.
To get to it. Awesome. How do you see? So we've talked a lot about AI. How do you see that influencing kind of the workforce and what it looks like in the future?
I think it's going to become more powerful and more powerful, because what I get to see day in and day out, companies that are using this AI platform like Senseye, they're able to, you get a 3D version of your machine. Instead of just getting a vibration of it, instead of just getting a thermal picture of it or whatever, now you're getting to look at the vibration, the pressure, flows, temperature, the alloy. I mean, you're getting to all this information and able to overlay it. Now you've got a picture of your machine that you've never had before. Now you can make decisions that you've never been able to make before. I mean, typically we see something vibrating. Okay, we go to the highest vibration part. Let's change that a piece of equipment out. Well, maybe it's not that. Maybe it's a clogged filter that's putting back pressure, and all you got to do is like in our system, we can have the differential pressure and vibration side by side and say, wait a minute, that filter stopped up. There's nothing wrong with the motor and pump. It's the filter. So that's using the technology, and I see companies grow by doing that. I mean, I think that's going to be the wave of the future.
Yeah, so just using it as another tool to help diagnose it
That's it.
versus using a screwdriver and holding up to your ear.
That's it. That's the difference, is you're able to make better decisions. Again, data-driven decision making.
Yeah. Do you still think that gut instinct still plays a role in there?
It is. It is. Early on in my career, whenever a vibration spike, say, take for instance, a good example would be a fan. Say a fan blade is starting to get dirty and it's starting to get out of balance. Early on, I'd see a step change and I'd run out there and I'd lay my hand on it and I'd listen to it and I'd do all. Then as I learned the failure modes of what an out of balance fan looks like, at the end of my career, I didn't have to go out there no more, because I've seen this before, and this is, I know this is a dirty fan blade. Wash your fan blade and it'll drop back down. But if you're in a place to where you can walk out there, definitely. I trust the senses, to hear, to see, to smell, touch. Most of the time around the equipment, you got Cat 5 guarding around everything now, so you can't touch nothing. But you can hear it though. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good thing if you can.
That makes sense that you can't, I mean, use as many senses because of safety. Not like, obviously, it's not a bad thing at all. Obviously, we want people to be safe,
Right,
but it's interesting to understand that the AI kind of steps in where people are no longer able to do that for safety reasons.
right. Yeah.
Nice. So obviously you retired, played golf, and then came back to Sensei. What like really made you come back and decide to redo maintenance again on a different level?
I guess it's the drive, my passion for it. I just enjoyed it so much. I just enjoy doing it. I enjoy, probably the biggest thing is being able to teach and to see and help others to grow, the technicians, the engineers, to be able to grow and have success with it, because it's what, I mean, it's just what winning looks like. I mean, and to be able to teach somebody that and they go have success with it, it just feeds me. I mean, I just enjoy uh, just seeing people be successful.
That's awesome. We've talked a lot about a lot of things that have changed over the years. What has surprisingly stayed the same?
Say the same. In the predictive maintenance world, failure modes have pretty much stayed the same. I mean, whether it's an outer race defect, if it's a misalignment, they can change out drives, they can do all this stuff, but these failure modes are predictable, and that's where Sensei comes in. At it can predict these failures, it can find them, it can catch it, and give you that time to and I see it with customers over and over again. Their downtime avoidance is huge. They're saving so much money by being able to catch this, by not allowing it to go into a failure mode. Typically, if like in the early days, whenever a machine would go into a failure mode and it would just melt the bearing down, then it tears up the shaft. I mean, their secondary failures are always your most expensive, because you beat things to death. You destroy everything else in that drivetrain. All right, now you're, instead of changing out a few $100 bearing, now you're having to have the machine shop build a whole new shaft, or you've got to order something in. I mean, it's just so. I mean, I get excited about this AI,
Mhm.
but the failure modes, that's what stayed the same. That's what we're able to predict.
That's awesome. It's nice to know that some things don't change, even if the tools that we use to get them stays the same.
Right. Yeah.
Awesome. Um, I had a question that came up in my head while you were talking, and then I completely forgot it because that's how I roll. um, I guess, what is something that you learned in your early career that still holds true to today?
Early career that holds true to today. I, I guess something that I learned early on was as far as working with people, because I mean, I've spent a career I'm always working with people, and the biggest thing I learned early on was just to be nice to people, be kind, show them grace. You don't know what that person's been going through at home, and they come into work and having a bad day, and just share, give them a little grace. And an old man once told me, you catch more bees with honey than you will vinegar. So I kind of lived by that. And it was, I had a career of being, people were nice to me, but, and it goes both ways. So that's one of the early things I learned.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Definitely helps with careers in any industry, I think, to
It does. It does. It does. It doesn't matter what. Yeah, that's a good principle of life.
yep. So you were one of the people you got started with predictive maintenance. How would you you know, sorry. When you got started with predictive maintenance, you started your way, but how would you recommend that people kind of start their predictive maintenance journey? Obviously, your company already had something implemented in this rotational role that you were in. But what does that look like for people who maybe don't have any predictive maintenance in there?
They've got kind of two options here. They can go out and hire somebody to come in that's got the background, that's got the certification, stuff like that, and let them build the programs. If that's not feasible, if they're, of course, a lot of companies are not adding headcount now. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking internally to get somebody going at it, find somebody that's teachable. That's the biggest thing. If you could give me somebody teachable, I could take them to the moon now. I mean, it was just somebody willing to learn. And if you find those two traits and start sending them out to training, let them get vibration training, let them get ultrasound, thermography, of course, definitely get Senseye. And you put those 4 tools together, you're going to have a powerhouse. That individual will pay their salary 5 times over every year. I've watched it happen over and over. Because they're able to catch things. So that's one way to do it. And, so,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of good training out there. There's excellent training. That's a couple of ways they could go about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. How would you go about that when talking, either bringing in a new person or finding someone trainable? How would you go about then implementing it to like the rest of the maintenance team from that one person?
I'm sorry, repeat that.
Sorry. I was saying, you said that, having this person trainable, get them up to speed, get some predictive maintenance tools in there, or bring in someone from outside. How would you go about working with your current maintenance team to help that person succeed? Because it's very hard to do anything as a solo person.
Right. That's a good question. This person, most of the time, the PDM coordinators typically are by themselves a whole lot because they're out collecting vibration readings, or if they've got it online, they're analyzing data at their computer. But they work with the maintenance folks. Hey, you need to go look at this. They work with their planners. And one of the greatest tools that most maintenance folks have is the operators. The operators out on the line are priceless because day in and day out, they listen to this machine. They know when something's not right. So when we go to the operator calls and says, hey, I hear something that's not normal. And all right, before predictive maintenance, I would go down and I would walk around the line and I'd listen. Well, it could be over here, could be over here. The whole time they done run 3 or 4 coils and we still ain't figured it out. And where after I learned the vibration, ultrasound, and thermography, I was able, the operator would call and say, hey, I hear something. I'd go down there, troubleshoot. I'd take the ultrasound. Okay, it's this row right here. Take the thermography gun. Okay, it's this bearing. It's hot. Take a vibration reading on it. Look at the vibration. It's all right. We need to tighten this nut up, or you need to grease this bearing. So learning those technologies actually made me 10 times better troubleshooter and was able to do it so much faster and so much efficient. Mm-hmm. And then it even got better whenever I was able to use AI to do it. Now I'm putting all this together. And so,
yeah.
Does that answer your question?
A little bit. I think it's interesting to why they kind of, there's usually like a PDM person who kind of runs a little bit solo but you have to work with everyone else still on the plant floor, from the operators who know their machines best because they're there every day, to working with the maintenance teams to actually see what's wrong with the machines.
Right. Majority of the maintenance team are not interested in learning new technologies. I mean, it's just how it is. I mean, unfortunately, but every team has 1 or 2 people that would just grab onto it and run with it. Mm-hmm. And so there's opportunities, I'd say, for every team to grow.
Yeah, that makes sense. Awesome. I guess I don't really have too many more questions. Is there anything, over the 30 years, you have any other advice to people either coming into maintenance, already there, or looking to change things up?
Yeah. One of the biggest things, if I could go back to the younger me, would be to listen to the old guys. Listen to them. Listen, what do they got to say? What are they, how are they talking about this? And because they have so much knowledge. They bring so much to the table. And, that would be my first recommendation. Listen to these folks. I'll tell you something I'm seeing now with by using Senseye is when folks go in and there's a case generated about there's a problem on a machine, and they're able to predict, hey, we need to go clean this fan blade. Well, the senior, the ones that's doing the repairs, the fixes, are able to go in and enter all the details around this. Well, the co-pilot actually learns this information. So you're actually capturing those senior folks' information because and you're able to document it because these folks are retiring out. I mean, they're like me. They've got 20 some years in at a factory and they're retiring out and doing other things. So Senseye offers a platform to be able to capture that knowledge. And then the co-pilot spits it out 6 months later when this fan blade gets dirty again. Hey, you need to go clean the fan blade. And what's cool is I've got customers that'll say, hey, I wrote that. That's my writing. That's how I write. And they get excited about it because it's learning from it. Mm-hmm. So that we do have a retiring generation right there that we need to capture, know what they know.
For sure, especially in those trades, hands-on jobs. I know
Yes.
I learn a lot from just sitting around my dad when he's fixing a car or doing something. So it's important to understand, especially in those hands-on kind of roles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciated our chat, and thanks for, sharing your knowledge with me from your career.
No problem. Enjoyed it.
Please like and subscribe on all major podcast channels and find out more about Senseye Predictive Maintenance at Siemens.com.